welcome to Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. I'm Angela, your host. This is episode 131, and it is Thursday? I never know. February 11th, 2016. On to updates and housekeeping. Welcome if you are new. If you are returning, I thank you as always. And either way, I hope you enjoy the podcast and continue to watch. The show is available on iTunes, YouTube, the website delusionalknitter.com. And I also embed the episodes in the applicable threads on the Ravelry group, which is Revelations of a Delusional Knitter, which if you are not a member of, please come on over and join. There's some giveaways, some knit-alongs, we can just chat, whatever. I would love to hear what you're doing. And on to declarations. I am off work for a whole week. Yay! It's more than a week actually, because it's 5 days. But with my 2 days off, since we do 4 on 2 off, I had my 2 off, and then I have 4 vacation days, and then I have my 2 off, and then I have my last vacation day, so it's actually 9. Yay! And I'm actually only on my first actual vacation day right now, but it's already my 3rd day off. So that's pretty cool. I was thinking, because I was saying to my husband, well, I had been laid off for 6 months before I started dispatching, when I was unemployed, when I got laid off from when I worked in manufacturing. And I was saying to my husband the other day, I was like, geez, I don't even remember the last time I ever took time off, because I know the last city I worked in, we were always so short-staffed that if you took a day off, it essentially meant somebody was getting forced to work a double, the way that they worked it. Where I work now, the overtime is pre-scheduled in 4-hour blocks, so while someone may be stuck with a double, they know well ahead of time, and usually if it's a problem or something, you know, we help each other out, whatever. It just works out so much better. And so now I actually feel great about taking a week off, because nobody's getting screwed. So that's nice. But I was saying that to my husband the other day, and he's like, no, I swear you took a week off when you worked for the other city. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, why don't I remember this? I think I figured it out. I think I did take a week off. However, it was when we were having mold remediation done in the house. So during my week off, there were 2 guys here from early in the morning till, 4 or 5 in the afternoon, ripping my house apart. I don't think I would call that time off. Just so you know. So, yeah, now that I think about it, that's when I had a week off. And that was not fun at all, sitting here listening to my house get torn apart. No, it was not. So, yeah, and this is lovely. So today, the last couple of days, what have I been doing? I don't even know. I wasn't feeling well. I went and got my hair done. I have officially crossed over the threshold of obsessed with purple, and I now have purple hair. A little bit. Because we figured I would try it and see if I liked it, and then we can put more in later. So you probably can't even see it, and I don't even know if the camera will pick it up. But under here somewhere, I have lovely purple hair. It's lovely. I love it. So when I go again, I'm going to have her do it, throughout. The last place I worked, we could only have hair, and this was specifically written, only have hair that was a natural hair color. So they were fine with my white, because that's actually, and it is natural, but I could never do anything like purple, because we dealt with the lobby complaints, so the public saw us. Where I work now, we are upstairs, and we have a house officer, so we don't see anybody. So I think it's perfectly fine if I have purple hair. And I asked somebody else that worked there the other day, I said, are we allowed to put colors in our hair, or do they get upset about that? And she's like, I've had pink. And I was like, okay then, sounds good to me. So yeah, that's awesome. And this girl is actually married to one of the dispatchers that I work with, and the other girl I work with goes to her also. So, and I'm super happy with it. She did an awesome job. So I'm super excited about that. And when I got home from there, I wasn't feeling that hot. I had a sore throat, and I thought it was from the fumes from the dye, and I had to sit under the dryer so that she could bleach that to dye purple, and stuff like that. And then, so I was just hanging out, and, sitting on the couch, my husband was watching the hockey game, and I was like, man, I'm kind of getting a headache, but it wasn't bad. It was just an annoying, I don't really feel great. I didn't eat until later, and, whatever kind of headache. Then it was 10 o'clock, and I was like, I'm just going to bed, because I don't feel well. I went to bed at 10, and the headache was getting worse, but it still wasn't that bad. I woke up at midnight with such a bad headache, I actually thought to myself, I now think I understand why people call an ambulance for a headache. Because I think this is the one that they have. And there was like no reason for it. I think it was even worse than headaches I've had in my early 20s when I drank too much and like had a hangover the next day. It was worse than that. It was so bad that I couldn't go back to sleep, and I was like thrashing around in the bed. It was that bad. So I finally got up and put my slippers on and went to get Tylenol, and then I sat there on the side of the bed for a little while, not sure if I should take the Tylenol because I thought I would throw it up. It was this bad. Then I finally sat for a few minutes, and my stomach settled down, and I took the Tylenol, I laid back down for like half an hour, and I'm like, my head is still pounding. I still think I'm dying. It was actually so bad, because being a 911 dispatcher, I know that if you have a sudden severe onset headache, it might be something serious. And I'm like, I wonder if I should wake up my husband and tell him I'm dying. So then I got up and I got the ice pack out of the freezer and put that on my head. And with that, I finally fell back to sleep. And I woke up the next morning and I was fine. I have had some nasal congestion and a sore throat, but other than that, I'm fine. And also, when I had that headache, I had the chills. Like, I don't know if I had a fever because I was too sick with the headache to check, but I had chills and stuff. So I think maybe I just had a quick bug I was fighting off, but I've never had a headache like that. Unless that was a perfect storm of, I was at the hairdresser's, so I didn't eat. And by the time I ate, I was, like, beyond hungry. The fumes from the dye and sitting under the dryer, and then, maybe running into a virus somewhere along the way at the same time. Maybe that was just a perfect storm that just made that headache come, but oh my god, it was so bad. I'm fine now, and clearly it was not severe enough to be a medical emergency because I didn't die overnight, but whatever. It's pretty bad when you work in that profession because in order to survive, you have to have a certain sense of humor that most of us who worked there already had before we got there. But for example, the other day we had somebody call because they always get the mail for their elderly neighbor, and they were knocking on her door and she wasn't answering, but they could hear the television on. So clearly she didn't go somewhere, she was there. So what you immediately think is it could be a death because she's elderly, she could have died in her apartment. So the other dispatcher got this call and she sent 2 officers, and one of the officers was supposed to go pick up my dinner. As sick as it sounds, the first sound and what I said to her, first thing that went through my head, and I said to her, I said, what the? He's picking up my dinner! Like, that's my first concern. Not that this poor elderly lady might be dead. Although, as we say in the business, she can't get any deader. So if he goes and gets my dinner first, it's horrible, I know, but you have to be that way to survive. So yeah, but just like that, I'm like, I might be dying overnight. I don't know, we'll see if I wake up. It's just kind of personalities we have. But yeah, I woke up, so everything's fine. And I have some really good news. A couple of episodes ago, I don't remember when, if you remember when I got my new truck, I traded in my old truck, and I thought I lost my gloves that I had made a pattern for years and years ago. It's a free pattern because it's only one size. And when I went to the funeral for my stepmom's mom, I had to dig out a sweater, so I went downstairs in the basement into some plastic bins where my nice sweaters are, and I was digging out a sweater, and guess what I found? I found my gloves! Oh my god, I was so excited. I was jumping for joy. These are my favorite gloves ever. And I found them, and I'm so excited. I knew I didn't leave them in my old truck. If you saw that episode, you remember I said, I swear I went through my truck. I knew I was in the market for a new truck. I swear I went through my truck and pulled out anything that didn't have to be in there that I wanted to keep. Like, the only thing that was left in there was my phone charger, which I pulled out when I left it, and my sunglasses. And other than that, I had pulled everything out of there so that wouldn't be a problem. So I had pulled my gloves out. I just forgot that I put them in a bin downstairs with my sweaters. So I was super happy to find those. And we are on to Revelations, because that's about all that's been going on. Recently, I'm sorry, my throat is still pretty sore, so I'm probably going to be worse than usual with my throat clearing, sniffling noises today, but it is what it is. Making Christmas socks. I'm going to rip them out. I was under the delusion that they were going to fit, even though I knew that they looked wrong. And I figured it out. I think that I knit socks 64 stitches at 8 stitches per inch, I think is my standard sock. It's not. It's not at all. Not even close. If I look at all of the socks that fit me well, they're 9 stitches per inch. That is a big difference on a sock. 9 or 10, usually. 9 is still comfortable, but getting a little too big. So I measured the Making Christmas socks, and they are definitely 8 stitches an inch, and they're way too big. So, as an example, I have here, these are the ones I did up. I dyed these with Kool-Aid, and these fit fine. They were a little big before, but after I washed them a few times, they were fine. And if I measure these, I'm getting, let me see what I'm getting. I probably should have done this before I recorded. 1, 2, 3, 4, I just lost count, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9! 9. So these fit fine. If I take, I already ripped one back because I was just going to go back and the other one's a lot shorter. But I think I'm just going to rip them out and do something else for right now because they're kind of making me aggravated at this point. So if I take this toe and I take this toe, do you see a difference? That's a big difference on my foot. That's a huge difference on my foot. So, yeah, these have got to go. That's way too much excess. That's like an inch. If you take both sides, that's like an inch. And trying them on even, it was like that. Like, there was this much excess over my foot. So I think I'm just going to rip these out and do something else for now and go back to these at some point. But I don't even want to look at them right now. But yeah, now I know. Now I know. Okay, sorry about that. The battery died. I have 2 new batteries for my camera. The 2 old batteries don't hold the charge very well anymore because they're a couple of years old. And when I put, that is one of the older ones, when I put it in, it's at 100%. And it was, I put uncharged ones over there and charged ones over here on my desk so I know which ones are which. It was over here, but it had been sitting there for quite a while and it's one of the older batteries, so I think it didn't hold the charge. So it died. I have swapped batteries. This is the newer battery, which I just charged this morning, so we should be good to go. Technology and I, we are not friends today. So, I don't know exactly when in my sock babble it shut off. Essentially what I was getting at was, I thought that I knit 64 stitch socks at 8 stitches per inch, and those fit me well. I am wrong. I have size 8.5 foot, but my feet are really, really narrow. If you do the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, she tells you to draw this cool little foot thing. This is how narrow my foot is. They're pretty narrow, as you can see. So I actually knit my socks at 9 to 10 stitches per inch at 64 stitches, and those fit me well. And what I was saying was, I just did laundry yesterday, so I have all the socks I usually wear, and I was just, for my own curiosity, I was going to take them all and measure them all, because after I wear them, they do stretch out a little bit, so I wanted them washed and dried. I'm going to measure them all to see what my average is, because I'm pretty sure it's closer to 9 stitches per inch. Sometimes even 10 fits fine. And that shouldn't be a problem for me, because usually I do toe-up socks. So once I get enough of the toe, I can probably get at least a ballpark measurement of the stitches per inch, and then see if I need 64 stitches or 56 stitches or 60 stitches or whatever on plain stockinette socks. And that's what I'm going to do from now on, because I've had some sock fails recently I haven't been very happy about. And it's funny because I have like a dozen in my sock drawer, but I've been wearing them all the time, so I want to add to it so I don't wear them out. And all of those socks I did like bang, 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 never had a problem. Like maybe one. I know I did one pair of socks that was cabled, and it was supposed to use like more of a sport weight, and I did a fingering weight, so they were a little too, if I did them longer, they probably would have been fine, but they really were too narrow for my feet even. But I think that they also may have had less stitches. I don't think it was 64 stitches, so yeah, that's my sock plan from now on. I'm going to actually measure my stitches per inch before I keep going with the sock and find out it's way too big. Because yeah, I tried that on my toe and it's humongous. So those are going to get ripped out. And on to the rest of the knitting. So I have the Bow Ties Are Cool knit along shawl, which is going very well. I am behind because this is clue 4, which by the way, if you're doing it and you're behind and you don't want a spoiler, look away for a little bit, but this is clue 4, and I'm like halfway done clue 4, I think. I don't know how well this is going to show, because it's on, now it's like squashed on the needles because there's a lot of stitches, but this is the Bow Ties Are Cool shawl, and this yarn is from Spun Right Round. There's like a graffiti sprinkle yarn and a tonal yarn, but I'm super happy with it. So right now, I'm on this other bow tie section here, and then after that will be the last section, which is in the other color. So I'm super excited about that. These rows are getting so long though. Oh, sometimes I just do a row and then I put it down and I do something else, and then I go back and I purl back and then I do something else later, but it's getting so long. Peacock's Tail, another knit along I'm doing. I'm gonna mess up her name again. Nim Teasdale, right? Is that what I said last time? I think so. This one's going well, and I'm liking this one a lot, and I'm beating it, so it goes a little bit slow, but it's fine. And after I do another 2 rows, then I can get the other clue. So this wasn't a mystery knit along, but if you finished it by the end of February, then you get the pattern for free. So I've been working on this one a bit, but I do need, they sent it out in sections for that reason, because then if you didn't finish, then you have to pay for the pattern, which is fine with me, but it is going quite well, and it's an awesome pattern. It's super easy to memorize the rows. Once you do a couple of repeats across, then you can just breeze through, and I'm loving the beading. It does make it a little bit slower, though. And then the last one I have is the Moab, like I said, I don't know how to pronounce it, shawl, which Lisa from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, 90% Knitting, is doing a hand spun knit along. So I have some of my hand spun. This was a loop bump that I spun up a long time ago, and the only problem with this is, I'm sure you can see, this is fingering weight towards the edge. That's pretty thick. So that's why I'm doing, this shawl was specifically designed for hand spun yarn in different gauges and different yardages. So I think I'm going to have to go up a needle size though once I start hitting that thicker yarn. But right now it's just the body of the shawl. But it's coming out awesome, and I'm loving it. I'm going to have to switch cables soon. These are Knit Picks interchangeable, but clearly this cable is too short for a shawl, but it was fine to start with. But I'm super happy with how it's coming out, and I'm loving knitting with this hand spun. It's absolutely fabulous. Oh, it's fabulous, and it's got sparkly bits in it too. So I am enjoying that one a lot. I am enjoying this one a lot too, because I'm doing those other 2 shawls, and right now this is just building the body. So it's the same 2 rows until you get enough stitches to do the edge. So I'm happy about that. And I even put a dummy marker. This is the front side, so that's where the increases are. On the back side there are also increases, but they're only on the edge. So on the front side there's 4 increases, and on the back side there's 2. But because it's just plain garter, and there's not like, the peacock shawl is like that too. There's a different increase on the front than there is on the back on the edge. But clearly one side is lace and one side is purled, where this is just garter. I put a dummy marker so I can watch TV and not, you know, have to pay too much attention. But that one's going well also. And I think that's it for my revelations. That's all I've been knitting on recently. Let's see, string theory. I don't have anything to show you because the way my day is going with the battery here and some other things that happened today, which are no big deal, but I just don't think it's a good idea for me to pick up my road bug and bring it over here. Let's just put it that way. So I am spinning up something on the road bug, but we're going to leave it alone over there. It's Into the World, Superwash Merino in the colorway Godric's Hollow. And for scrolls, we will have a book review for this episode. I'm going to review River Ganseys, and that was sent to me from Cooperative Press, so I will insert that here. This is a review of River Ganseys by Penelope Lister Hemingway, the knitting genealogist. It is published by Cooperative Press. It is $24 for the print version and $16.95 for the PDF ebook version. It's a fascinating book about the history of knitting and River Ganseys. And it goes into a lot of the myths of the motifs and the colors and the different knitting things that have come up throughout history that there's a lot of myths about, and it goes into the real stories and the real backgrounds behind that. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of history, and it's a really fascinating read. For example, the first 109 pages of the book have to do with history, and it's actually something you can sit down and read about. There are also patterns in it as well as a ton of information on techniques and how to knit Ganseys, which, if you're not familiar, it's what we would call a sweater or pullover that has some sort of motif on it. Here, as you can see, clearly goes delving into history. There's a lot of photographs in here that are really fascinating and really interesting to look at, and I love history, and especially if it has to do with knitting. So here's the table of contents, and as you can see, there's a foreword, there's an introduction, Yorkshire knitting history, and what I actually found out in this book is that the first knitting needles, written pattern, professional pattern writer, a lot of it was found in Yorkshire, so that's very interesting. The first section goes into Gansey origins and myths. The second section, knitting in schools, prisons, and homes. The third section, inland waterway Ganseys, so rivers, like the book is titled. The fourth section, motifs, superstition, folklore, and inland Ganseys. The fifth section, pioneer Yorkshire knitters in the New World. And then the sections I was talking about also. So all of those things that I just said all delve in depth into the history, folklore, myths, traditions of knitting these sweaters. It's really fascinating stuff. But to show you the actual techniques and patterns in the book is what I'm going to show you. But just beware, there's a ton of information, stuff that you could sit down and read a book. It's a book. And it's got some fascinating pictures that are really old in there, and I really love that a lot. So to go into Gansey Knitting 101, it's got a whole section on all of that. And one thing I was not aware of, for example, the beginning chapter right there, paragraph says, standard needle sizes for Gansey knitting are US 1.5 and 2. I did not know that those were fingering knit sweaters. I thought they were worsted weight, so that's very interesting. And then we go into hand spinning, which made me very excited. So it's got some information about, traditional sweaters where people actually spun the yarn. It goes into what type of spinning is best, what fibers are best, etc. So that was really fascinating to find that in there, because I'm also a spinner. And then we'll take a look at some of the patterns. Phoebe Carr. So as you can see, I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up, but all those motifs in there are pearl knit combinations. So that's the majority of what Ganseys have for their motifs are pearl and knit motifs. So that's Phoebe Carr, and then we have Abizer. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And here you can see there's motifs, but then there's also some initials down there. And I'll show you something cool about that later on in the book. Here's another one, Whitby Worms. That's a cool traveling stitch looking kind of a motif on there. And then we have Parthenope. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing half of these correctly. That's another one. It's actually got a lot of detail. It's hard to see in this photograph, but there's a ton of charts that go with this particular sweater, so it's got a lot of detail in there. And Lizzie Lee. That's another one that's really cool. As you can see, a lot of them seem to have this what looks like a cabled rope kind of a thing going through it, and ribbing, and some cleaner sections on this one where it's just stockinette. And then we have, this is my favorite actually, which I guess it's not a traditional one, but I think this would look really cool in purple and gray. But I like this one. This is pretty cool. The book also goes in, when it goes into like Gansey 101, it goes into different shoulder styles you can do and things like that. So here, I believe this is called a drop shoulder. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what this style of sweater is. And the last one, as modeled by this lovely cutie pie here, is another one with the, as you can see, the knit purl techniques, that kind of rope looking twisted stitch. And then, so like I was saying about the initials, you have a blank chart here, and then you're also given the alphabet, so you can put whatever initials you'd like to in a sweater if you want to design one on your own. And this is another type of alphabet, so it gives you, you know, 2 different choices for that. So I thought that was pretty cool, giving you the blank chart. And then we have abbreviations that's used throughout the book, techniques and symbols in the chart symbols. Oh, so those are cabled, as we can see here. I didn't look that closely at the patterns previously, but that is definitely a cable. Then we have a bibliography, and as you can see, I said it was an extensive writing on history, and as you can see, there's quite an extensive bibliography here. And then about Penelope Lister Hemingway, she's the author, acknowledgments, and about Cooperative Press. So, if you are interested in knitting history, which I always am, and these are some pretty cool traditional sweaters. So there's some patterns in here you can do on your own, but like I said, the book also goes into the different traditional shoulder, neck, etc., joining, you know, graft, all kinds of stuff. So you could actually design your own sweater if you wanted to, as well as spin your yarn for it. But I thought this was a fabulous book, and I'm always excited about history, so it's a very interesting book with lots of great information and techniques. And that is River Ganseys. So like I said, the print is $24. The PDF version is $16.95. That's River Ganseys, published by Cooperative Press. And that's our book review for today. So we are on to testaments. I do have a testament, and I need my, tablet for that to show you. So, actually, I'll show you that first. Sorry, it was on the floor. I saw some socks that Susan B. Anderson did. I follow her on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, I need that yarn. So I looked into it on her Instagram. Well, the label's right on this picture, but it's a Patton's Croy sock, which I like that yarn. It's pretty inexpensive. Although I got it on Amazon, so I don't know if it was a little bit more. But those are the socks she did, and I loved them. And I was lucky, and I found that colorway on Amazon. So I grabbed 2, because they were like 8 something. I thought Patton's Croy was cheaper than that. I have some in my stash, but they were like 8 something a ball. Ta-da! So I can make socks like that. I don't know if hers looked pretty cool with the heel flap, so I don't know if I'm going to do a traditional heel flap or a short row heel, but I really like the striping pattern on these, so I might even do these for my next socks, and I don't know yet, but that's all I got so far. Intentions, Delusional Knitter Designs group. The Mirabelle shawl will be starting in 4 days. Shawl knit along, sorry, not shawl. It has technically already started, but the official knit along starts on the 15th. I just wanted to give people enough time to order kits if they wanted yarn. If you have not watched the show before, I designed a short row colorwork shawl with yarn from Morning Bright Yarns, and Becky did up kits. So this is Mirabelle, and it's a super fun knit. I thought so too, but some other people have also said because the colors keep changing and the direction keeps changing, you know, it's not like shawls where you have 300 stitches and you just keep going back and forth. So it's pretty quick knit and it's pretty fun knit. So you can check that out. It's Mirabelle. And until the 15th, there's a coupon code Mirabelle Knit Along for 50% off the pattern. So it'll be $2.50 instead of $5. The other thing I was working on, when we went to see our friends the other week, we went to the farmer's market. They like to go biking and hiking and do all this stuff. And she had some mitts, some knitted mitts, some mohair knitted mitts that she had gotten at the farmer's market before, I guess. But they were like this long, you know, normal mitt length. And she wanted something that went like all the way up to her elbow for when they go riding their bikes and stuff and it's cold out. So she had her mitts, she had tucked the thumb in, and she had one mitt that went from here to here, and then she pulled the other one on over that one. So it went the whole length, and I was like, Beth, do you want longer mitts? Because I can make them for you. It's like, what are you doing? So I did. And her favorite colors, I asked her what her favorite colors are, and she said orange. And then I said, well, what other colors do you like? Because that has a contrast. And she said, well, black, gray, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I got her. So I got What is it called? Lamb's Pride worsted, because that does have some mohair in it. It's not 100% mohair like her other mitts, but it does have mohair in it. And, sorry, all my ends are in there. So these are Beth's mitts. And I'm super happy with how they came out, and they're long enough. And she liked them because you could squish them down if you wanted to, or plump them up. So I took the idea from that other pattern, but I did quite a few adjustments, and I'm going to do different sizes. So this will be a pattern that I will release, because I did do quite a bit in making it work, and there's some decreasing going on here and stuff like that. So I'm comfortable in feeling that I didn't copy their pattern, which I don't even know if they have a pattern. It's a farm that has the yarn, and then they were selling finished items as well. But these will be up for test knitting soon, and it's just a peasant thumb, because Beth doesn't like things, you know, really strangling her thumb, so it's just an easy peasant thumb. And then, like she likes, if she doesn't want to have it as a mitt, if you just pull your hand through, then you can tuck in the thumb and hide it. So that's why there's no gusset, because she doesn't like those. And she likes to do this with her mitts sometimes. So these are going to be Beth, because they're for Beth. And I will have some test knitting probably first, and then the pattern released. But I was very busy with Mirabelle, so, and then I also have to, I only have one mitt, which doesn't matter because they're going to be the same, except the only thing I'm going to do is rotate where the thumb goes, because this color change is going to be on the under part of your arm so that you can't see it, but it's not really a big deal. And if you really wanted to, you could do, you know, slip a stitch or something. I just didn't really care. But plus when I block it, I think when you block it, you can manipulate it enough that it's not, you know, as noticeable right there. But those will be up soon on the Delusional Knitter Designs group for test knitting, if you're interested. Heresy, Hogwarts at Ravelry, the new rotation started January 25th. I haven't entered anything in there, mainly because I've been working on huge projects like shawls, so I have to get something going for that. I did join, speaking of socks, Sock Madness 10, and that goes from March until May, and as far as I understand it, because I've never done it before, it's a competition type thing, so whoever finishes quicker, like, gets on to the next round, so it starts out with a whole, it's like March Madness with basketball. It starts out with a whole bunch of people, and it keeps going down and down and down, and you have like 2 weeks, I think, to finish each pattern that they release. But I believe if you made a conscious, deliberate effort in the first round, you'll get all the patterns, even if you don't qualify to move on to the next round. I believe they give you the patterns for the rest of the rounds, so that's pretty cool. The Epic Knit-Along 2016 on my group is still going. I put up a thread for February that was almost a mouthful, so you can enter your stuff there. I still have to collect up some prizes and figure out how I'm going to dole out prizes and stuff like that, but initially I had figured on quarterly anyway, so I still have some time to figure that out. Ravelry Patterns. I do have some Ravelry Patterns for you today. Let's see what I got. So the first one I have is Valentin by Anna Spee, and it's free. And it's this cute little bunny, crochet, like amigurumi, am I pronouncing that right? With the little heart. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Although I must say, it's super cute, but I think if I did one of these, I would put a face on it, because it kind of creeps me out that it has no face. So, yeah. But it's super cute, and like I said, it's a free pattern. It takes DK, and it's crochet. Oh, you know what? I think it may only be available in French. There may be charts. I don't know. I haven't looked that far yet. So just so you know, it may only be in French. So if you don't speak French, I don't know how well that will work for you. I do not. The other one I have is a sock baggie by Rebecca Enoch, and that is also free. And it's this cute little drawstring bag that's beaded. It's got pom-poms if you want, but it's perfect for a sock project. And I'll show you another one. What's another one with the beads? Here we go. See this one? My tablet's ignoring me. I click buttons and it ignores me. Told you, technology and I are not friends today. Can we please open? Somebody's meeping outside my room too. Is that you, Rye? Here we go. There's another one with the beads and no pom-poms, so that's up to you. And the last one I have for you is Artemis by Marissa Hernandez. It's $5. It uses fingering weight yarn, and it's this cute, pretty simple shawl, but I loved how it draped over the back. So I'll show you it flat, because when you see it flat, you don't think it's going to look like this. Oh my god. Told you, technology and I are not friends today. Here we go. So this is what it looks like when it's out flat, but as you can see from what I just showed you, it drapes really nicely over the back if you wear it that way. So, those are your Ravelry patterns for today. And what else do we have? So, bullet journal. I did get some things for my bullet journal. One thing, I've actually had these for a little while, and you might have seen it poking out before, but I thought I would actually show you what it is. They're little stickies, and they're little cats, and I use them to mark out pages so I can easily find them again. And they're not just the cats on the front, they actually go on the back too. I love them. But I use them to mark out, like, this cat. This is my today, so I keep moving that cat so that I can easily find the page for today. The bullet journal, this one, the Moleskine, does have a tab, but I leave that for the month. So this goes to February, the monthly spread, and then this goes to my daily spread. This one right now is marking out. I have an OT log because at work, the way overtime falls, the way the week works, it's not exactly the same as the pay week, so you kind of have to keep track of your overtime a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but it's easy to do. Like I said, I just have an OT log, so I just write down my hours, then I write down what I got paid, because sometimes it ends up working out like a week or two after it catches up with itself, but it's much easier to just keep a running log than try and figure it out after the fact. So that's what that is. And yeah, so I have my monthly, see, that's where that tab is. There's my month for February. And I have my stickers, I have my fun stuff. I just put a couple of quotes here for this one. I have Walt Disney, if you can dream it, you can do it. I have Tony Robbins, goals or dreams with a deadline, because that sounded good to me. And then I have my February tracker again. And I'm going to do something new. It's memories, so if I do something fun, like we're going to go to the ice castles this weekend, my husband and I, so I can put that in there. I'm getting better at my lettering, as you can see, but I kind of lost it on the Y. It was just freehand, so I was doing really good until I got to the Y there, and then it kind of didn't work out so well. And I'm also doing bohoberry.com. She does bullet journaling a lot, and handwriting, and calligraphy, and things like that, so we were doing rock your handwriting, so one of them was write your favorite word, which mine is fabulous. So there's my playing around with the word fabulous and things like that. So that's just fun. And that's what I do in my bullet journal. But I also got some more pens. I had found these at Walmart, a 6-pack of these, I don't know, the Stedletter Triplets fine liner, and I'm liking those a lot. They don't bleed through the page, and I like them a lot. But Amazon, I wanted some more colors, so I got this pack on Amazon. So they were a lot less expensive at Walmart, but this also is like, I don't know how many, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's double the amount, but it was like 3 times as much. So if you can find things at Walmart, they're a lot cheaper, but sometimes you can't. Like, I don't think they had the 12-pack. Or if they did, they certainly didn't have the 12-pack in the container, and I wanted that container, so that's my bullet journaling. What else do we have? Delusional Jabber, arts and crafts. I haven't been doing any other arts and crafts except for working on my lettering like you saw. Reading, I'm still on Flip. I'm almost done with that. And I'm still in Ender's Game, which is an audiobook, which I haven't really been listening to very much. TV. I watched a couple of movies. I watched The Box Trolls, which was excellent. I love that kind of stuff, that stop animation stuff, like The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's essentially what that was. And stuff like that. That's my favorite type of movie. So the Box Trolls was really good, and it was a cute little story. Tomorrowland with George Clooney I watched yesterday, and that was very good. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it was still a really good movie. I'm caught up on Big Bang Theory. If you watched the last episode, Mima was on it! It was so funny. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but if you like Big Bang, you gotta watch that last episode. I started a new show, Lucifer, which I believe is on Fox, and essentially he's the devil who took a vacation from hell and is just hanging around on Earth, you know, doing his own thing. And initially when I saw that character, I was like, he's not really all that great, you know, it's kind of suave. He's handsome, but he's not really good. But if you watch the show, he's really good. He does a really good job, so I am liking that one. And I believe I couldn't quite catch it on the credits. I kept trying to backtrack on my tablet, but then it kept booting me out of the app. I think it was based on a Neil Gaiman something, and I'm gonna assume Good Omens, but like I said, I didn't catch which book it was. I'm just assuming Good Omens because I've read that one, and it has to do with angels and things like that, but I really don't know. But it is based on some sort of Neil Gaiman thing. So if you know what it is, let me know. The other one I mentioned on the last episode, I think I watched a couple more episodes though, was The Expanse on Sci-Fi, and I like that one a lot too. That one's really good. It's very Battlestar Galactica-esque, and I like it a lot. The way it's filmed, the way the ships are in space and stuff like that, it very much reminds me of Battlestar Galactica, so I'm liking that one a lot. And I think that's it for this episode. Like I said, I did get a new iPhone, which I'm loving, and I got a case for it, which is How to Train Your Dragon, so I'm excited about that too. I did want to show you though, yesterday my husband was picking on Willow on the couch, and she it makes me laugh. She makes this face when he picks on her. And by picks on, I mean literally all he does is he goes, ha ha ha, and points and laughs in her face. But she's very much aware of what we're doing and if we're mocking her or not mocking her. She's very in tune with that kind of stuff, because you can say something nasty to her, but say it like this, oh, it's so sweet, but you say something nasty and she knows the difference. This is the face she makes when my husband picks on her. And the only reason I was able to capture this is because I was in the middle of them. But that face cracks me up so much. And I always say to him, because he's not really doing anything to her, you know. He loves her. But he'll pick on her like that. He'll laugh and point in her face. And, you know, it's not... She's fine. She's not abused. But I'll always jokingly be like, stop picking on her. But yet I'm cracking up because that face is just too much. Just too much. We call it something, but again, this show is G-rated, so let's just say it starts with a SH and ends with a Y. Face. That's that face. That's what I call that face. Yeah. So I will leave you with face. I hope it made you giggle. And I think I covered everything for this episode. My throat's getting very dry again, so I should probably go. So I thank you for joining me, and happy knitting and spinning.